Hey guys! So I was asked to show some scissors that I have in detail. And so this video is for my subscriber who asked about these Fisker shears. But I wanted to say all scissors are not created equal. And I have more pairs than this, but I just pulled out a few to show you what I have just in case anybody's wondering. So let me start with the most basic pair. This is the scissors probably everybody grew up with, you know, stuff like this. But these are obviously titanium. And I just got these actually in a package that had a letter opener and whatnot. I exclusively use this pair of scissors for cutting longer things. And that's why I'm showing you these. I do have a pair of metal shears that I have, and I only use it to cut metal. Like if I had like a sheet of metal, it cuts thin sheets of metal. And I think these are it right here. These I bought at a hardware store, so you can see they're really long. But that's the reason I have those. But let me get to it. So I just use this for paper. Cutting paper, and I exclusively use it for my crafting. I don't use them for anything else, so that the blades don't get really dull. And I'm sure everybody has their own method of what they use for. This was a pair in a set of, I think, from Progracraft for the Cuttlebug or whatever, the tools. This is just a standard pair of scissors. It's tiny. They're good for fussy cutting. However, they're not that great in comparison to, say, these. And the reason I say that is, and you're going to notice this in the other scissors I show you, this pair on the right is, it says Blooms. I think that's the brand. I don't know who makes these, but you notice it's got the same, pretty much the same length on the blade, but at the end of the blade is actually let's see if I can get it. You can see that there's a variation in the color, and that's because the blade itself has an angle on it that is not like your regular set of scissors. And that's because they've got the precision tip on it. So this is even better. Oh, it focused for me. Even better for fussy cutting because you can get into some really small spaces. So I don't use these for my fussy cutting. If I have to fussy cut anymore, I use these. I use these for my everyday crafting. And why? Because these are spring loaded. And when I say spring loaded, you see that spring in the middle? You have to actually, to keep them closed, you have to put this, engage the lock. And I store them this way in my cup. But the reason I say that is because it takes getting used to. There's no loops on these scissors, you notice? Like this. So there's some hand fatigue that you get when you have to cut like this, and it's not as easy. I'm not left-handed, I'm right-handed. It's not as easy to grasp your scissors when you are trying to get a really precision cut sometimes in there. And so I don't prefer these anymore. And when I first got these Fisker scissors, it took some getting used to because your action is to force it closed because they're spring loaded. They want to stay open like that. You don't get as much hand fatigue when you're using these Fisker scissors, and because they don't have loops, it takes somewhat getting used to because you're not holding onto any handle, but really the only thing you're doing is squeezing them shut. And you notice that these same scissors have a precision tip on the end. They're actually angled. They're not flat. So you can get into some really tight spaces with that. Now, I know everybody loves the Tim Holtz tonic scissors because they're non-stick. And I'm not trying to sway you to not use them. I'm just saying for me, the reason I don't buy them is because they're not spring-loaded. So if somebody's listening from Ranger or from Tonic who makes them, make them spring-loaded. I'll buy a pair and try them out. You guys know I buy a lot of crafting supplies. But right now it doesn't bother me that these aren't, coated so that they're non-stick, because I have my husband, who is very, not crafty, but artistic himself, has lots of solvents for me to clean these scissors off. And um, because he's such a detailed person, he will come and clean them himself sometimes, even though he doesn't use my scissors. I gave him a pair of these to use, and he liked them so much that he was like, I need to have these. I bought these at Marshall's last year. Yeah, Marshall's. Um, it was a set of 2 Fiskars scissors, and they had them in the gardening items. So I got a great deal because I think they were like $5 or $6 for both pairs. If you go to Michael's, you will see a similar set to this, but it's a different color. I think the one I saw yesterday at Michael's was like a blue handle. And it is by Fiskars, and it's exactly the same thing. It's not any different. You just get a different handle. And the handle has a rubbery texture so they don't slip. It's not cushioned, but you don't need the cushioning like the Tim Holtz scissors has those little squishy bits. You don't need that because these are spring-loaded. So you're not having to, you don't have a lot of stress on your hands. Now, I don't cut chipboard with this because typically I use my trimmer for it. I use this for everyday crafting, like I said. And they're pretty lightweight, but I'll say also they're not as lightweight as these. Don't buy these scissors. This Martha Stewart set, don't buy these. These really suck. These are really light, but I think in terms of the weight for me, I like the Fiskars much better because now I'm accustomed to using it. And these seem really flimsy. Now, this set did have a guard with it. I took it off because I got tired of taking it off and putting it back on when I wanted to store it. So, yeah. So these scissors, if you're wondering, are pretty much the same sort of style, but they are not equal. I mean, they have the precision tip, and you can see there's an even finer tip on this, but in my opinion, these are just a shadow of what these are. These are good weighted. I bet you if I cut something really thick with this, it will fall apart because they're just not good quality. You have this button here in the middle that, you know, you push it down and it you know, makes them close. The handle just seems really cheap. It's like hollow. These are not like that. And I think is Fiskars a German company? I'm not sure if it is, but I think, you know, in terms of making sharp cutting tools, this is a renowned company. Martha Stewart is through EK Success, I believe. I don't know necessarily that I would, if I had known what these were like, I wouldn't have bought these, but I got these for like 50% off plus an extra 25, I think. I don't know. I would not buy these or recommend these to anyone, even though it looks very similar. And you can see I have another set on here, another set on the desk. This is made by Tonic, the same makers of the Tim Holtz scissors. And I was reading all these because at the time, the reason I bought these was to cut my rubber stamps. And I was looking for some nice scissors that people recommended to cut the stamps that you get that are already mounted on the cling foam, or to have to cut cling foam because it's hard to get through both layers at the same time, especially when you get an untrimmed stamp like those from CC Designs. They are mounted, or some are unmounted and you have to mount them, and then you have to trim them. I think every stamp you buy should come trimmed. Why? Because you pay so much money for the stamp. That's my opinion. But anyway, back to the scissors. So I bought these scissors specifically to cut my rubber stamps that have the cling foam, or if I have to cut cling foam, because the cling foam is pretty thick. I mean, you got to go through that plus the rubber stamp. So that's the only thing I use these for. Again, these are not non-stick, but they are spring-loaded. And this one has a different sort of clasp. You undo it at the bottom, and They're very sharp and they're very pointy. Um, you can see that they are angled at the tip. Um, slightly different than how these are. They go all the way down the blade, that angle. These are only at the tip here. Um, I like these scissors okay, but in terms of the comfort in my hand, they're okay too. They have this rubber grip here with the little beads on it, so it's okay. But again, I have gotten so used to these Fiskars. You can see that the blade is a little bit longer on the Fiskars too, so that helps. This is okay for, you know, the use that I have it for. These were expensive. I think these were like $15 too. Um, Again, I like the spring-loaded action. I don't think I'll ever go. I don't think that's the right cover. I don't think I'll ever go back to using regular scissors for my crafting like this. These cut very nice. You can get in there, but you know, you guys know how much cutting sometimes you have to do, or sometimes you're crafting. You don't want your hands to get tired. And I think in terms of, you know, getting a pair that you can use on a regular basis is important. These have stayed very sharp. I've had these for a year, and like I said, I use them for my everyday crafting. And they serve their purpose very nicely. Now, if I want to cut fabric, I can still use these. But these are very short to cut fabric with, especially if you've got a big piece of fabric. They're very sharp. I would probably use something like this length, and I don't know, depending on what I'm cutting. I don't cut a lot of fabric, so I'm not going to buy a special pair of scissors for it unless I do more of it. So yeah, Melanie, I hope this helps. As I said, I got 2 pairs for like $5 or $6 at Marshall's. You could see these individually at Michael's. I have not seen them at Hobby Lobby. I don't know about Joann's, because Joann's is more of a sewing place too, so you might see some really nice scissors there. But I felt I got a good price for these, because I wasn't really looking for scissors when I bought them. I thought I'd try these out, and there were 2 pair in there, and they were gardening shears. So I think that's one of the reasons why these are actually rust proof, because you would use them outdoors for pruning and stuff like that. But these are wonderful scissors. I would definitely recommend them. And, you know, they fit well in my hand. I have a big hand probably for most females. So you can see they fit really well in my hand. I don't ever drop them either, because they've got the grippy stuff on them. So anyway, I hope that helps, Melanie. And thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'm happy to get back to you. Talk to you soon. Bye.